All right. All right. Hello. Happy
All right.
Saturday, everyone. Welcome to the Everyday Leader series on our LinkedIn Live. Today, we have a truly remarkable individual joining us, Dr. Yonathan Gari. Dr. Yonathan is an accomplished emergency medicine specialist. He has consulted in various trauma hospitals and worked with aeromedical service providers. His career highlights, including serving as a managing director at Lighthouse Healthcare Solutions and currently as the emergency and critical care specialist and director at Trunash Beijing General Hospital. And Dr. Yonathan has also been a lead in flight emergency specialist with East African Aviation, leading over 110 emergency medical evacuations to diverse destinations across Ethiopia, Europe, Middle East, Asia, and Africa. So I am thrilled to have Dr. Yonathan share his insight and experiences with us today. Dr. Yonathan, welcome, my dear friend. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for having me, Doc. It's a
My
pleasure
pleasure.
to join different leaders. I've seen multiple leaders on your platform.
Yeah. That's just me name dropping. Haha. Yeah. Okay. So dive right into
Thank you.
it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I think there is some sort of delay. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay. So I love hearing about origin stories. And before Dr. Jonathan came to exist, how did Jonathan start his career and how did he get here? Walk us through.
Where shall I start? So yes, uh, my career started like traditionally. Uh, we joined undergrad. I did my undergrad back in Awasa. Then I did my graduate in medical school in postgraduate in Tekurambessa. But it started like it. I think it started my like definitely my career path started around when I was at grade 8. I had some sort of uh, emergency that happened there. So that's the time that I decided for myself I'll be a doctor. So then everything passed. During my undergraduate program, I got into emergency, attracted more into emergency medicine. So I joined emergency medicine. I didn't do as most of Ethiopian doctors do. I didn't work as a general practitioner. I immediately joined the specialization program and I joined emergency medicine. So that's how I started my career, just in short.
Yeah. Wow, it seems like every single doctor I've spoken to or a healthcare professional had some sort of adversity in their life that either themselves or their loved ones have experienced, and that's really the driver to get them to join the healthcare sector. So that is very interesting. So were you one of the very first cohorts for emergency medicine training program at Saba University?
So I'm the third batch for that cohort. I'm the third batch. So it's almost like I'm one of those few pioneers because from first to second batch it's only around nine doctors. So
Mhm.
it's easy to say that we're the pioneers.
Yeah, for sure. But why emergency medicine? Because it's a very stressful work environment, and um, it's kind of the intersection for everything that goes on through the hospital in the emergency room. So why did you pick that specifically?
Honestly, Doc, that's what interests me. That's what attracts me to go to join the department. The adrenaline, the rush, a quick fix that you can do for the patient. So that kind of things really attract me to join the department. And like everyone said, it's a gate to the hospital. That's why I prefer to join the department. And I have had the pleasure of doing my undergrad outside of the bigger cities. I used to be not as such big as this. So in emergency, everything will be done there. So diagnosing there, treatment start will be there. You resuscitate patient, and you see patient. You can define patient outcome at an emergency department. So that's why I say, no, I'm gonna go for it. Like those major departments really bores me, honestly speaking.
Oh wow. Okay. I think it is quite the endeavor to become an emergency specialist in Ethiopia, where there is such a resource limitation, and like you said, the emergency room or the initial care is the one that actually makes the biggest difference in a patient outcome. So you are obviously one of those people, adventurous people. You don't obviously shy away from challenges, which brings me to my next question. What was the turning point
Yeah, yeah,
for
true.
you to become an entrepreneur? Because you've been trained to work in a high stress, high stakes environment in the emergency room, and then you went and become an entrepreneur. So how did that come about? Was there a moment, a circumstance, something that happened? And during that transition, were you scared? Did you have self-doubt and, doubted your decision?
That's a good question. Like those kinds of questions, I'm having difficulty even to answer it at this moment. While all those years, doubting yourself and living the traditional way of treating patient or working as a doctor. Yes, like my turning point was like, an emergency department. As a doctors, it's a new department during my time, so we were just having a lot of difficulties, like trying to persuade every department, trying to persuade policymakers. So I say, like, honestly, to persuade anyone, I have to create my own career path. I have to create my own path. So I said, I'm not gonna, because most of my mentors, most of my seniors have tried that path, and I've seen people failing. And in the health sector here in Ethiopia, it's a bit tough, like trying to get the recognition that you want, or to create the policy and the system that would be really applicable for your own good and for the good of the department. So I said, I have to go. And when I decided that, what I see was like the pre-hospital care, which is really vast and open. It's a very uncharted territory for everyone, and even including me. So that's why let me go for it. And honestly, during my decision, it's not only my decision at that point; it was also my better half's decision. So it was also giving me all the support. So that's how I moved out of the traditional way, and I do what I'm doing currently.
Wow.
If I answer
Yeah, I
your question
mean,
correctly.
oh, dude, there's no correct question. It's about your personal experience. And I think you put it so beautifully because you mentioned something everybody suffers from, right? You're young, you're energetic, you're intelligent, and then you're thrown into an environment that's not ready to make room for those things and help you flourish. And a lot of people who have worked in the healthcare system in Ethiopia would attest to that. So but the fact that instead of just sitting there complaining and being frustrated, you found a different area of interest and a different path for yourself. So I think that's extremely impressive. And there's a lot for the younger generations of doctors to learn with everything that's been going on in our country. And I think people like you are really the people who light up the torch to discovering something a whole new different uh, sector in healthcare. So kudos to you. That is quite an impressive track record that you have. Um, so entrepreneurship in healthcare often involves, navigating very complex regulations, right? And which we as doctors are not necessarily familiar with. And from your experience with, particularly with your liaison work with the ministry regarding industry regulations and requirements for first response, what were the major challenges you faced? And, you know, what would you advise aspiring healthcare entrepreneurs about managing this potential challenges? Uh, I think we lost Dr. Yonathan. Hopefully, he'll be back. We'll take a quick break till then. Okay.
Hi. Sorry.
You're good. Emergency call?
No, it's a network. It's where we live.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so let me take you back to the question. So I was asking you how entrepreneurship and healthcare involves complex regulatory landscapes that we're not necessarily familiar with as doctors. And from I think you have a particular experience with the liaison work with the ministry regarding industry regulations and requirements for first response. So, what were the major challenges you faced, and what advice would you give upcoming healthcare entrepreneurs about managing these challenges?
It's a great question, Doc. And apologies for the unfortunate circumstances. So yeah. It was really very difficult. With first response, what we were doing is a remote medical service, which is a new idea for Ethiopian healthcare system. So it was a big challenge. So the first thing is what we did is like we went to the government office or to the authorities where a similar type of policies, such as for pre-hospital care policies, even if it's not for definitely for remote medical service, but some proximity to the what we do, we try to merge it and start doing what we need to do. And through time, we showed authorities that pre-hospital care and remote medical service, what we have been doing is a bit different, so it needs its own policy. So for that, what is needed is like rigorous contact with officials, showing them what you do, doing your best, and also uh, make them believe in you, like show them results. So results will pay off at the end of the day. So it took us really 4 years nearly 5 years for this thing to be finally a policy which been approved by the parliament at the end. So it needs capital investment for that. It needs manpower for that, and also consulting your mentors, consulting people who have passed through that road really helped me a lot. That's how I try to tackle that issue.
Wow. So you were involved in actually getting it into the legislation,
Oh
if
yeah,
it
yeah.
has gone to the parliament. Wow. So before that, nothing existed.
No, there wasn't. So like when I start doing this thing, so when I entered the pre-hospital care territory, it's all given for a single entity. Like the policy was saying only remember, it only says anesthetists can work, not even anesthesiologists. Anesthetists can only work in that area of field. So, at the end of the day, our country, people are really difficult for a change. Rather, they try to hold on what's been written. So we told them, like, with the help of our emergency professional society and also good mentors, we changed that whole scenario. Now it's open for everyone. Like even trauma doctors can come and work in the pre-hospital care, anesthesiologists can come and work there. So we opened the field for everyone to work on it. But previously it was only limited. And I don't blame them, honestly. At that point, there are certain group of people who approached those policymakers, and they allowed it. So the department didn't exist at that time, and also people were not even eager enough to be involved in such kind of medical practice. So I don't blame them. So still there is a challenge, but the challenge is can be, honestly, we can pass that challenge as long as there is perseverance and hard. If you can work hard, it will definitely change that of hardship. We can change it to a fruitful result.
Yeah, I mean, you, in a way, like you said, you have no choice. If the professionals in specific specialty never existed, then you really can't, use those resources. So you have to kind of make whatever you have out of the professionals you have at the time. And it's very interesting. That's how it started out, and it's a huge progress to be here talking about this after people like you and so many others of your colleagues have taken it mu- couple of steps further, right? So that's good news for the population. I don't think the population necessarily understand what this means, but you and I and the healthcare industry does do. And I mean, bravo, really, it's something that we all can learn from and appreciate. So one of the things that stand out for me when you said, and I hope the audience takes this to heart, is first to dare, um, and second to prove yourself, to show results. And I think when you're young, you want the title and the accolades before you actually prove yourself to be worthy of it. So uh, things don't work that way. You have to dare to go and explore untouched territories, and come out as a winner with a tangible outcome that is beneficial to everybody involved. So thank you so much for that.
Thank
So
you.
I will let's go airborne, okay? Because it really interests me what you do with the aeromedical evacuation, and it's not something very common in our country. So you personally have led over 100 emergency medical evacuations to so far to various international destinations. And can you walk us through what the typical process of evacuation is, especially for a lot of people listening who may not necessarily be familiar with the process?
Okay, great. So I divide the aviation medicine into two, or what I do into two. So the first one is the air ambulance aspect of it, and the second one is the commercial medical escort. So I do both. So they do both involve aircraft, airplanes, but in a totally different way. So
Mm.
first of all, it's good to know what's air ambulance and what's commercial medical escort is
Mhm.
before answering directly to your question.
Okay.
So the air ambulance really is there will be a dedicated aircraft that will solely be transporting patients from day in day out whenever there is request. So it's like a mini ICU. The aircraft interior uh, have been restructured to fit patients, such as are there. Oxygens will be fit in, so there will be portable ventilators, portable cardiac monitor, and everything. All of equipment you need on a grand ICU, you will have it on an air ambulance.
Mm.
So that's air ambulance. But when we say commercial medical escort, is like supporting or helping patients who are in need during the travel via a commercial airline. Majorly, what we do is via Ethiopian Airlines, Emirates, Etihad, or Kenyan Airways. So the patient will be sitting on a straight chair together with his fellow passengers. So depending upon his clinical condition, we will be supporting the patient until his destination hospital, or until if his destination is his home, until there.
Mm.
So it's a two different scenario. So, but to answer your questions, once now the audience understand very well what air ambulance and commercial medical escort means, is uh, to walk you through on regular daily routine
Mm.
for both. For air ambulance, we receive a call. First of all, we need to receive a call. So somebody from somewhere will give us a call. When that call arrives, as a lead doctor, it comes straight to me. So
Mhm.
I'll try to review it accordingly. So whether first of all, what I see is patient clinical condition. So does the patient need mechanical ventilator? Does the patient need oxygen? Does the patient need a pneumatic mattress? The patient needs splinting. Does the patient need? So I try to look into detail of his medical report. So then after that, I will try to identify the time that they want to come, or when do they want that to happen, and also whether they have contacted receiving hospitals. And I'll try to look into, do they have everything in hand, for say example payments at the end of the day. Aircraft are very
Yeah.
expensive. So it's not like ground ambulance, oh guys, come over
Mm-hmm.
and they will pay you when you deliver us to this hospital. So such a things needs to be done rigorously. And the other thing is, like, if the transportation is outside of the country, there is a dedicated team that will be handling international flying
Mm-hmm.
permit. So because we'll be crossing different
Mm-hmm.
borders, so there needs to be permit that needs to be inquired from the fellow
Mm-hmm.
countries. So that will be done by a different department. And also, and there are conditions that cannot be airlifted, and also that decision needs to be also be made. And we, as a team, and personally me, and I will inform those personnel who
Mm-hmm.
called us.
Yeah.
Are you listening, right?
Go ahead.
Okay, okay. So those who, they think that, like, for majority of Ethiopians and Africans, I can say that the air ambulance seems the last resort for them. So they think that they are getting treatment inside the
Uh,
aircraft, like as if that we are gonna give them the cure.
wow.
But they try to explain to them we're just one mode
Mm-hmm.
of transport to their final destination or where they need to be
Mm-hmm.
treated, because they're paying a lot at the end of the day. So they think that they will be cured just going into the aircraft. So this is how we do we do
Yeah.
it routinely. So once this everything been concluded, and once everything been sorted out, so there is a system among us, the doctors who have
Mm-hmm.
been working with me. So we'll try to alert everyone based on their roster. So they will be alerted and they will be on standby once, especially financially, once everything been finalized, they will immediately take off. But just to add
Mm-hmm.
something before that, before takeoff, we have to go into our storeroom and see our equipment have been working properly, have been packed properly, have been washed properly, and whether the oxygens are filled fully, and also all the medication that are needed for the patient have been ready. We'll try to verify there is a checklist for that, and we will look into that checklist. And once that checklist has been looked into, then we'll be off to the air trying to bring the patient. That's how the air ambulance usually been. We That's how we usually run it, and the commercial one is totally different one.
Okay, wow. There's a lot of different people involved in this. You have it sounds like you have a very large number of team members. So what's the size of your team when you do medical evacuation?
So to for example, let me just take you through. I had a medical
Mhm.
evacuation yesterday, so let me just take
Please.
you through that. So yeah. So there will be flight operation officer will be there. So that will be handling the whole
Mhm.
flight operation. So there will be a captain, there will be a co-pilot. So I was the one who led that flight. So there will be a doctor. So there will be a ground maintenance team. So, and also there will be a driver who will be driving us around the, what do you call it, in the tarmac. And
Mhm.
also independently there will be also a ground ambulance team who will be
Mhm.
receiving the patient once we landed. So
Mhm.
this will be, in a short, this will be how it look like our team in the majority of times, depending upon the cases, case by
Yeah.
cases.
Oh wow. That's I just counted around 15 people at least.
For sure, it might be more than that, depending upon the
Probably more than
cases.
that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. I mean, that just goes to show the kind of good leader you are and how seamlessly so many different professions come together, um, in a hospital. Basically, when you treat a patient in the emergency, there is yeah, a nurse or different levels with different level of training and experiences on the nurse's side, and then you have the doctors at different levels of training as well and stuff like that, right? But you really don't see this external influx of professionals that are completely not non-health related, that has never worked in a hospital. And I think to coordinate all this is, I think it's very quite interesting, and I see where the
Yeah,
adrenaline rush might come in.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah. Have you had a very unique experience? Was there any evacuation or any patient that you have accompanied uh, that has left a memory with you, or maybe an experience that you thought was quite a learning point?
Oh yeah. There are plenty, plenty.
Pick the best one and share with us.
Like, I think I've written about this thing few months back on my LinkedIn profile. So we've been requested to fly into. I'm not going to
Sure.
disclose, so
Keep
as
it
long as it's going
anonymous.
to be
Hmm.
confidential. So, we've been called to one of the neighboring countries. So we flew in there. So one thing I learned so far before even that flight is this air ambulance is
Hmm.
full of surprises. Everyone is trying to push patient from their own care whenever patient become critical. So we are always been expecting the worst whenever we travel everywhere. So even if they say 1 liter of oxygen, we usually take a ventilator with us.
Yeah.
So we went there. So what we're being called is like the patient had just a minor burn injury. So we just flew in and we reached there. But the story is totally different, honestly. Patient had like more than 86% of total body surface
What?
area that's been burned. Not intubated. She had inhalational injury and everything. That was all good. Like they're trying to resuscitate her. They try to give her fluid. Really, I really appreciate that. When you travel outside of those who are in need of well advanced medical care, you understand you understand their challenge and their efforts. So we give them kudos for that, for what they did. But that was not the problem, honestly. That's a very manageable one. But we've been told to bring a single patient, where they brought us 4 or 5. I think I remember 4 patients.
What did they think? There's enough room on the plane?
Yeah. And for you separate, we brought all of them
Really? Oh
together.
wow. Okay. Now I would love to hear about that, but continue.
Because
Go back to the burn patient. So, was it eventful? The transportation, was it
so
eventful because of those things?
yeah. No. So they brought her in. She was conscious. They put her on intranasal oxygen at that point. The fluid was secured, and she was a bit more obese patient. So we put her on a cardiac monitor. We continued on our the fluid resuscitation, and at that point, because we've been happy to intubate the patient at that point, but unfortunately, they were not happy. They say, just put her inside, and we're bringing the rest of the patient.
Wow. Wow.
So it was really chaotic. So we put her inside. We had only one built-in stretcher, so they brought us 4 patients.
So you were completely not
So we said
informed
no.
about
As a
any of the other patients. So
no,
what was their
no.
reason to bring those patients? What was
So they said, like they said, they already paid for the aircraft, so they can put everyone there, whomever they want. And the excuses that we have received at that point was like, it's because of political reasons that we need to carry all the
Oh,
patients.
okay. Okay.
And as a lead doctor at that point, I told them that I can't carry her. I can't carry the rest of the patient. And they're saying either you stay here and the patient will go to Addis, or you carry all the patient and you go back with them.
Wow! So they wanted you guys to leave the place so that they can keep the other passengers.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's not even like that. They're threatening. They were threatening us, like if we say no, they can make us stay there doing whatever they want, and so it is what it is. So we took all the patient in. Like it was, I have still that photographic memory. Like it was really horrific.
How did you go back to work the next back then?
But at the end of the day, when you see the relief, and when those families, even if we speak a totally different language, so when you see a smile on them, when they call you after arriving to the destination hospital after 2-3 days, your intervention saved life, that will keep you going despite all the hurdles.
Wow, that is some scary stuff you just told me. Wow. This is the smallest one. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna ask you one question, and then we're gonna take questions from our audience, because we have a couple of questions for you. And you have quite the fandom, because there are a lot of people, I think, who've been looking forward to this conversation, which makes me really happy, because that's the whole point of inviting well-seasoned leaders and multifaceted people like you. So in this aeromedical care, what innovations so far have you witnessed or implemented that you have found to significantly improve patient outcome during the transport?
Okay, so a few things, especially those portable ultrasounds, portable equipment really help us a lot. Ultrasound for me is just like a stethoscope back in the ED. So now getting that in a portable way, like just connecting it wirelessly through your phone and seeing patient while they're transporting, it's really helped me a lot. Like it gives you a decision. Sometimes the engine sound is really difficult. It makes it difficult for you to auscultate patient, whether he's building up fluid or anything. So with just a small ultrasound, you go in and see whether the patient is okay, is he building up fluid or not, or do you need any kind of intervention. So that is one of the most fascinating things that I noticed. But I think that's what I noticed recently, like, which really helped me a lot.
Interesting. Well, I mean, the healthcare technology is very advanced, actually, in the rest of the world, especially the global north, which is also at the same time why it's very expensive, but it does make a difference in patient outcome. And we have to adopt to make the patient outcome better, and also to make our lives easier, right? As a doctor, your job satisfaction comes out of delivering the best care for your patient. So innovation is like a third limb for us when it comes to achieving that. So you talked about a huge team with different professionals involved. Effective team collaboration is obviously vital in transporting operations. So what strategies do you as an individual use for this seamless coordination across your team, especially the flight crew and the ground medical personnel during evacuations?
That's a good question, honey. I think we can learn a lot from this scenario. The first one is like communication. So we usually pass a clear message to everyone. so there's no like confusion, so everyone understand what's been communicated to them. So it's a clear communication is the first one. And secondly, respectful for everyone. Everyone has a role. So you need to be respectful for everyone's suggestion. So let's to give you an example. So the ground personnel or our driver knows better to lift patient and bring them into the aircraft than maybe me. So I will listen to his suggestions, and so being respectful will be that'll be the second one. The third one is like follow the lead. So there will be assigned leaders for that scenario, and you need to listen to them. So there will be the one. Uh, Everyone can be a leader, but at the end of the day, you wouldn't listen to each other. So there will be a person that will lead that medical evacuation. And so, as a doctor, I might be me or my colleagues will be the leader. So we will just follow that one. So that one is putting a role, a leader role will be the third one. And the fourth one is just doing simulations and trying to do what do you call small trainings amongst you will definitely boost up how we can work together, how then you will get to know how we can integrate easily. And lastly, knowing our friends what do you call it, weaknesses. So so for example, like I might be flying with one of my colleagues who will be a general practitioner or who will be anesthesiologist or who will be an emergency doctor. So somebody will be good on airway, somebody will be good on handling CPR. So knowing that their weaknesses, and maybe my colleagues, the flight crew, he might be really big person who can lift patient, so he will definitely help me, or somebody among us will be not be fit enough to lift patients. So knowing our weaknesses and trying to fill that gap accordingly really help us a lot, and then that's how it works smoothly among us. So that is the easy way.
Wow. So it's all in the preparation.
Yes.
Everything you just said happens before you even get on the plane, before the patient even, before you even receive a call to lift the patient.
Yeah.
It's all in the preparation. I think that's extremely important thing for people to understand. It's all in the preparation. Um, okay, let me give you a couple of questions from the audience. So, uh, Shumela says, thanks for presenting such an interesting topic. Could you tell us more on physiologic change and additional treatments that are given during air ambulance that are different from a ground ambulance?
Thank you. So, like, I'm not. Will you give me those all needed time? But it's gonna be big. The most important thing that everyone have to know is totally the human physiology works different in a higher altitude. So that needs to be into consideration. That is a huge one. So, but when you consider that, usually the cabin pressure is a well-maintained altitude. It's not like the aircraft would be in 30,000, 38,000 feet, 35,000 feet, but the cabin pressure makes it into like 6,000, usually from 6,000 to 8,000 feet, which is like Debrecen or something like that.
Okay.
So there are laws that we need to follow, the Boyle's law and the rest of the laws, gas expansion and stuff like that. So we need to consider that. Honestly, the time won't be enough to answer that question, but definitely there is a huge significant physiologic changes. Just to give you an example, like usually if the patient had the chest tube inserted, especially a pneumothorax patient or anything, we intend to keep that chest tube during the transport because the risk of expansion will be very high. So such kind of things, and because the patient will be immobilized, the risk of thromboembolic conditions will be there. So we need to address that issues. So it's there, and linear flow will be compromised, putting patient on a drip will be very difficult. You have to put them on a patient on infusion pump will be very nice and preferable. So there are plenty of things. And honestly, maybe at the end of the day, at the end of our session, I can share there's a PowerPoint that I prepared for residents before. I'll share it to you, and you can share it amongst our audience.
Yeah, that would be perfect. And just to add on to that, Joseph asked, do you have a written consent during transporting critical patients?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, yes, yes. Because I was trying to mention earlier, you know, majority of passengers think that that's the end of treatment for them just by just boarding the aircraft. So the consent should be there. It's a must. It's mandatory, and you know anything can happen, especially during commercial medical escort. Because, for example, let's say if the aircraft is flying from Ethiopia to India, let's say Delhi, Chennai, and anywhere, or it's going to Istanbul, taking probably 300 passengers. If they didn't sign a consent, it will be a big problem for everyone, for those involved. You know, they might reroute their flight, they might do an emergency landing, and so anything can happen. So for certain levels we can treat them, but if it is beyond the what do you call the scope, things cannot be done. So the consent is for every kind of medical treatment, whether it's medical evacuation, even ground ambulance need to have a consent. So we give them a consent, and they need to sign it before board.
Thank you for that. Let's land, because we've been in the air for far too long. What sort of leader? You're obviously a leader in so many ways, right? Whichever, whether you're in the air or on the ground, you're a leader. And I feel like it's very natural to you to be a leader, because I also know you personally. But what sort of leader do you think you are, and what has influenced that leadership style? Is it a book you read? Is it a mentor? Is it somebody you look up to? Tell me more.
Honestly, there's not such a thing that I read it in the book. Like I follow my father's footsteps. Like he used to be a big leader in his field of training. So from him, what I learned is like giving a chance to people. So the type of leadership that I follow is not like ordering everyone or something like that. I give room for everyone to express themselves and to think out of the box. And for that, I'll try to give them all the necessary playing ground for them to flourish. And at the end of the day, if you give them that, you'll get an excellent rewards and for you and for them. So it'll be a mutual one. So the type of leadership that I usually follow is like I try to mix myself as a team member, not those managers on top and just waiting for result from his employees or his colleagues. So I try to blend in and work together. I don't know the name for that kind of leadership. Honestly, as I told you, I haven't read anything such books, but I don't know how. There must be a name for that.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different types of leadership styles, and not one person uses a single style. It could be a combination of it, but it's very democratic. You empower the people around you. So I think that's also it's also interesting how you've not been influenced by anything. This just comes naturally to you. So it kind of goes for the argument that leaders are bored. So that's very interesting. Okay, this is just me being curious. Okay, what was your dad? What was his field? Like you said, he was a leader and you learned from him. So tell me about that a little bit.
So he used to be a mining engineer. So he works with rocks, unfortunately. But He did medicine for 6 months, but unfortunately, when it is a new department during those old eras when the king is there was
Mm-hmm.
there. So he'd been persuaded to join that department. Join a department. They established Ethiopian Geological Survey, and
Wow.
he also ended up the Ethiopian mining offices. So he's one of those pioneers. He studied majority of dumps in the country and majority of mining, gold mining papers. So like I knew it later on his
Mhm.
life, but he's more of a team player. Like he doesn't sit, he goes with them to the field. Like um, 17, 18 years old, he used to go to the fields. He used to
Wow.
collect samples. He tried to argue with them. He tried to go into readings and so many papers. He doesn't stop even writing. So he doesn't expect people to do it. Rather, just join them and do it together with them and trying to motivate during the work. So
Mm.
that's how I got my leadership skill. I don't know.
That's very interesting. And this is why I love hearing about origin stories because for two reasons. One, people will find a common ground with your story, right? And they'll say, oh, wait, when they feel down in their life or they feel stuck and they see somebody who's gone through the similar life circumstances and achieved something, they'll say, oh, okay, so I could do it as well. Me and this person have this, we came from the same whatever high school or similar background or the same kind of family background, so it unstucks people in a way. But two, it's also a lesson for a lot of people about the future generation. I mean, you have kids, right? um
Yes.
yes. And from what you just said, you didn't know what your dad was doing. You didn't know whether he was a pioneer, whether, because from what you told me, he was quite a smart person, which is very similar to my dad's story during the monarchy, where they select the very smart and intelligent young people and invest in them to further their education. And most of these people were pioneers in many governmental offices and educational system in Ethiopia, right? So, but you have subconsciously learned from your father. It wasn't that he told you, it was you watching him do what he does. So I think as leaders, we have to we have to be conscious of what we do and how we demonstrate ourselves in front of our children, um, so that we can create a better world and better leaders in the future, right? So I'm sorry, I just went completely different direction, but I just
Yeah, that was fun. That was fine. You're right, by the way. I agree with you. On what you said is really, I agree with that suggestion. So carry on. Don't worry about it.
yeah, okay. So the healthcare sector is obviously constantly evolving, right? Uncontrollably, especially in the past couple of decades. And how do you as a leader in the health sector foster a culture of innovation within the things you do and the organizations you're involved in?
Yeah, keeping up is really tough, honestly. I think sometimes like I say to my colleagues, and am I getting old? Like it's very difficult. Things are the things that you see in every day, especially in the health sector, is really you can't catch up. So one thing I do is like I try to update myself. What are things being done? Like how can I cope up? So first thing is I read. I try to read as much as possible in the area of my own competition. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You're good.
So I'll try to explore that. Uh, what else? What else can I? Yeah, that's all. Like I try to more of reading into
Yeah.
how
Update
things have
yourself.
been run. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Update myself.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
answer your question,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty much what you can do, right? Just update
yeah,
yourself because some of the things some of the things that you read about, they're out there, but they're not accessible to the public, or they might not be accessible to, particularly us, because we're just, in a country with resource limitation. And, yesterday I was watching this thing that they found. They have built a home test that can detect cancer and HIV in minutes. But that's not publicly available. So innovations happen every single second in the world, which gives a lot of hope for the future. But you're right, it's hard to keep up with. All we can do is update ourselves.
And try to focus on the area of your expertise more.
Yeah, lean on that.
Focusing will definitely help you
Hmm.
to excel on what you do, and also to compete with other competitors, and also keep up with all kind of innovation in your area of training. So
Yeah.
so that's what I really focus on, honestly.
You lean on your expertise. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's an extremely important message. We have a question from Dr. Helena. She asked, what advice would you give to clinicians who want to innovate or start a venture of their own?
Go for it. Don't waste your time. What you bring is the right idea. There's no wrong idea in this world. Honestly, there will be people who will be wanting to listen what you're bringing to the table, and just go for it. Honestly, procrastination will definitely kill us.
Mhm.
So I've been doing that for quite a long time, but at the end of the day, you need to move on. You need to try. So you need, like, there is a saying that I get it from one of my friends, a good colleague. You need to fail fast. You have to try to experiment what
Yes.
you need to do, and just follow what's really successful. So if you have any intention of creating something, or to innovate, or to open up some firm, you just have to go for it. So I always tell my
You're stuck.
there's no wrong question to ask. The same is like,
Okay, you're back.
sorry. So the same is like for the ventures. There is no wrong thing. You just have to go for it.
Are you still with us, Dr. Yonathan? Okay, we lost Dr. Yonathan. Let's give him 5 minutes to rejoin. Apologies. I think he has an unstable network. Can you hear us? Can you hear me, Dr. Yonathan? Hello? You good?
Yes. Sorry, guys.
No, go ahead. It's okay.
Sorry. I hope I answered your question. Helena's
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Thank you on behalf of Helena. I think the lesson to be learned here, really, from what you just said, is, and it's very interesting because there's a lot to adopt from other industries, right? For example, the surgical checklist was adopted from the aviation checklist, right? And just like that, iterations are usually actually standard in in the tech industry, right? When they develop apps and other things, you know, other resources, technological resources, they do iterations, which means to fail
Yeah, yeah,
fast,
yeah.
right? So they create something, put it out there, see the user response, see whether it works or not, and then what they pick on whatever is not working fast, which means they fail fast so that they can do an improvement on whatever they have put out. So you know, there are lean, sigma, different sort of iterations out there, and I think it will be worse for a healthcare professional to actually go and read other things first. I think there's a lot to learn.
Yeah, sure.
So for we have a lot of young audience, and there are going to be a lot of aspiring doctors watching this in the weeks to come. Um, what are the top three, maybe three pieces of advice? You can give more, but the top three pieces of actionable advice you would give them based on your journey?
Great. So my first advice will be like, uh, be spontaneous. Honestly, do what you love to do. What makes you really happy. Honestly, that's where you can excel. Doing what you love will give you all kind of success, or in 21st century success being measured by money, but it gives you the
Mhm.
money, it gives you the mental satisfaction. So do what you want, do what you prefer or what you like to do. That's my first suggestion. And the other thing is, my other advice is, don't be scared to fail.
Yep.
We have had, I have had personally, I have so many failures. So don't be scared of failing. And the other thing is, be open. Try to brag about yourself. Try to explain what you do to other people. I
Mhm.
think bragging means a little bit exaggerated, but try to explain or try to show what you do to people, and for them to uh, inquire or your service. So try to network with people. Networking is one thing.
Mhm.
So there's a saying called networking. The network that I don't know. I forgot it.
Your
I
network
need
is your
I
net worth.
was yeah. So such a thing. So you try to go. You need to go out of your comfort zone and try to talk with people. So that is a other second major important thing that I will need to give an advice that I give to the younger generation. And thirdly, uh, honestly, there are plenty of patients regarding in our area of field, plenty of clients, plenty of customers. So don't be scared that you won't get any patient. Let's say there might be a dental clinic just there, but if you open something, a dental clinic with a unique kind of service, there will be a client for you.
Mhm.
So we are more than 120 million people, and think big, and you will achieve big. And from the start, don't usually think small. Try to aim big. So for me and my colleagues, what we aim is like to be the biggest air ambulance provider in the whole of Africa, and also like to open up aviation school and stuff like that. So the dreaming big, it will take you there. So you have to dream big for everyone who is listening right now. So they have to dream big. And finally, maybe they have to be grateful at the end of the day. You need to figure out as much as possible, be ethical
Mhm.
in what you're doing. And once you are ethical, and especially for medical practice,
Mm.
ethical, and everything will come. Success will come later on. Honestly, till now, for me, the success for me is not about finance. It's not about getting money. the happiness that I saw on my patient's face, and their text message. I have a patient who's still sending me 25 mobile card every
Oh,
new year since undergrad. So
wow. Are you for real?
that's for real. she
That's
she
amazing.
quinine induced blindness during her pregnancy, and
Wow.
I used to be during my internship period. So they still sending me the money. Still sending me a picture of their kids. So
Oh,
it's more sexes than that. So
wow.
happiness can't be bought by money, honestly speaking. So once you are happy and you do things what you need to do, things will come. So don't prioritize money. Prioritize what you want to do first. So then through time, everything will come. But I think the younger generation, I think, is I don't know. They try to focus on money, but that will come later on. That will come later on. That will
Yeah.
come later. And the last thing that I want to say is like, uh, rather than being competing among us health professionals, we need to collaborate. We need to be on the same page. Somebody is trying to pull down this
Mm,
doctor. Somebody is trying to name me that doctor. Rather than that, we need to gang up together and try to flourish together, because
yeah.
the room is there for us. We have seen doctors coming together and creating one of the nicest facilities in Addis in every part of Ethiopia. So at the end of the day, rather than just one of us as pushing the other one, we need to come up together and work together. So that we can make everything fruitful.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I think and I hope that a lot of young doctors, young healthcare professionals will actually watch this interview in the weeks to come and months to come and take away this valuable message that you have shared. And I appreciate you. I know you're a very busy man,
No, no,
and
no, no.
it's Saturday evening for you. So thank you so much for being here. We've known each other for quite a while now, and
That's true.
you've always been an inspiration, even as a friend. So I thank you for that. For our audience, you can watch back this interview anytime you want on LinkedIn. And now we are available on YouTube as the Everyday Leader podcast. Please subscribe and watch, like, and share with your friends who you think will benefit from this. Dr. Yonathan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Annie, for your kind words, and thank you for
Yeah.
the ምንድን ነው ጠፋብኝ እኮ።
Now you can talk in Amharic.
ቴንክ ዩ አመሰግናለሁ። and I'm really happy እያረግሽው ያለሽውን ነገር በጣም አመሰግናለሁ። በርቺ በርቺ በርቺ. And there are
Thank
plenty
you.
of people who really really appreciate what you do, and I'm passing their regards
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
too.
All right. Bye.
Hi, ሰላም ደሪ.
Amen.
Bye.